Hi, and welcome to GameSpot Live. I'm Greg Kasavin, and I'm here to tell you all about .hack, or the first installment of .hack. Bandai, the creator of this game and this property, is putting a big push behind it. The game comes bundled with an anime DVD, and there's also a new cartoon show based on .hack that's recently started. So there's this big push behind the publisher. They've got this great concept behind the game that's really intriguing, as I'm sure you'll agree. .hack is a role-playing game within a role-playing game. It actually takes place in a futuristic world where the whole world is addicted to a massively multiplayer online RPG, much like EverQuest. So in the game, your character is actually playing a different game the whole time. The game in .hack is called The World, and it's this fantasy-themed RPG, and you start out as this newbie character. Your friend is taking you around and showing you the ropes, and something happens. Your friend gets killed in the game, and then you learn that your friend in real life has slipped into a coma. So you keep playing the game in order to try to figure out what's going on here, and you're reading message board posts and finding out about some weird conspiracy going on with the developers of this game, and it's all really quite interesting, and it's kind of mind-boggling and everything, the whole metagaming thing. But get past all of that, and you're left with what's really a pretty average action RPG. It's quite similar to last year's Kingdom Hearts, only it's not as good in any respect. It's not as long, doesn't look as good, doesn't sound as good, and all that, and it's really quite simplistic. But that's not to say it's bad. It's pretty fun while it lasts, but it's over pretty soon, and you'll wish that the game itself lived up to the strength of the concept. If you've actually played online RPGs before, you're going to appreciate how .hack uses some of the conventions of this genre. It's pretty funny to be seeing these fantasy characters, guys with giant axes or swords, speaking out of character about how it's raining and they have to go take their laundry out, or they just burn their dinner and stuff like that because it's supposed to be actual real life players. Though of course .hack is an entirely single player game. It's not an online game. So that's played up pretty well, but other than that, it is a pretty conventional fantasy setting, with monsters and swords and sorcery and stuff like that. Even though The World supposedly is this class-based game like EverQuest, you have like twin blades and heavy axemen and wave masters and weird different character classes like that. Your character is predetermined for you. It's a young, upbeat, spiky-haired lad named Kite, who's a twin blade. He fights with two daggers. Soon enough, you'll pair up with, or actually group up with, lots of other player characters who you'll be able to call up and have join your party. You could have up to 3 characters, including yourself, running around at a time. These will support you in battle. You could give them simple orders like to use their combat skills or to heal you and stuff like that. And other than that, the combat is really quite simple. It takes place seemingly in real time, like there are no turns and you just run around and have to approach the enemy and try to attack it. But you could basically pause the action at any point and bring up your special abilities menu or your healing items and all that kind of stuff. And actually later in the game, when enemies will become more powerful and you'll be relying more heavily on your skills and your items, you'll be looking at item screens almost as often as you'll be looking at the battle. So the pacing of the fighting is pretty haphazard like that. At the same time, though, the game does control well, and the combat is fast-paced and pretty fun. You could really easily see where your enemies are, even when they're off-screen. You get a little indicator on the edge of the screen pointing them out to you, and it's easy to target your special abilities and everything, and it's fun to watch these big and colorful enemies go down and to gain experience and levels, typical stuff for an RPG like this. There are only 2 towns in the game, and you go back to these in between going to battlefields and dungeons. And the battlefields themselves, they're although they're all random, they also all start to look the same very, very soon because there's really no surprise to the randomness. They're just patched together as a series of a small number of different types of rooms or terrain types and everything. So they look a lot more different than they actually are, and about 5 hours into the game, you'll really have seen most all of what that game is going to offer you, unfortunately. And then about 10 hours after that, you'll have finished it. You could keep playing it at that point and keep leveling up your character for whatever reason and unlock some more secrets and such. And Bandai's going to let you import your character data into the next installment, but again, it's sort of disappointing that there wasn't more to the gameplay of this installment, for your $50. So the gameplay is simple and repetitive, but pretty fun. But the aspect of .hack that really disappointed me was that the story just goes nowhere. It's set up really interesting, and the whole premise of the game is great. But you meet these characters that are pretty cool. They're mysterious, and you want to know more about them. You want to know who's on the other side of the keyboard controlling them and everything. But the game doesn't tell you any of this. Not even a hint of what's to come. There's no real villain. You don't really know what you're going after. You're just going through. And once you get to the end of the game, none of your questions are answered, and you're just kind of right there where you started, only you're level 30 instead of level 1. From there, Bandai hopes you'll plunk down another $50 and maybe get some answers next time. But I think it's kind of a cop-out. Some people are going to settle for it, but I think it's pretty cheap, and it's unfortunate that this game isn't satisfying as a self-contained product, and that it's just left wide open, for the next chapter. With all that being said, the premise of the game is cool, and it is kind of fun to level up and to get new and better stuff and gain new special abilities, all that kind of stuff that makes RPGs inherently fun. In between, actually playing the game, you read the world's message boards and stuff like that and find more clues there. So there's some nice touches, but all in all, .hack, it just doesn't quite live up to its potential as a game. And although anime fans are really going to like the whole look and style of the game, and will appreciate that Bandai is trying to branch it off in so many directions, at the same time, I think anyone hoping for a really great RPG out of .hack is going to be left wanting more. And I suppose that's exactly what Bandai wants.